The Galactic Dominion had conquered countless worlds, crushing every species that resisted. To them, war was a simple equation: superior firepower and overwhelming force ensured victory. When they turned their gaze to humanity, they expected the same result. Supreme Warlord Varkarth watched as Earth's last fleets crumbled before the Dominion's might. The battle was over before it truly began. Humanity's forces, though resilient, were vastly outmatched. Their ships, primitive by Dominion standards, fell one by one. The Zelvoran warriors moved with precision, their war machines obliterating entire human colonies. Surrender broadcasts echoed across every frequency. The Dominion's victory was absolute. Varkarth stood before his war council, confident. "Humans are finished," he declared. "They will kneel, as all others have before them." His officers nodded in agreement. No species had ever risen after such a decisive defeat. Across occupied human worlds, Dominion patrols marched through ruined cities, enforcing their rule. Prison camps filled with captured soldiers and civilians. The Dominion expected submission. Yet something was off. Unlike other conquered species, humanity did not show the signs of true defeat. No broken spirit. No quiet acceptance. Instead, their eyes burned with something unsettling: determination. Then came the first reports. A supply convoy vanished in the outer colonies. A Dominion command center, deep in occupied territory, went silent overnight. Varkarth dismissed these as minor disturbances, remnants of resistance, nothing more. But the incidents escalated. Human engineers repurposed Dominion technology, sabotaging war machines from within. Entire units went dark, their communications hijacked by unseen forces. Civilians, once unarmed, wielded modified Dominion rifles, striking without warning. The Dominion, accustomed to swift conquests, struggled to contain the chaos. A captured human officer, bruised but smiling, was brought before Varkarth. "You think you've won," the man said. "But for us, defeat isn't the end. It's just a lesson." Varkarth sneered. "Your species is broken." The human chuckled. "No. We're just getting started." The Dominion tightened its grip, deploying more patrols, enforcing stricter curfews, and executing suspected rebels. It didn't matter. The resistance only grew bolder. Dominion officers spoke in hushed tones of human ingenuity, of how every defeat only made them more dangerous. Supply routes once thought secure were systematically dismantled. Human insurgents hijacked Dominion transport ships, using them to infiltrate high-security zones. Entire garrisons were wiped out overnight, their own weapons turned against them. No pattern, no central command, just a relentless tide of defiance. Dominion soldiers spoke of ghosts. They would storm a resistance stronghold only to find it abandoned, booby-trapped with repurposed Dominion explosives. They would capture fighters, only for them to vanish before execution. The humans adapted at an unnatural speed, learning from every battle, exploiting every weakness. Captured Dominion technology spread like wildfire. Engineers, hackers, and rogue scientists built hybrid weapons, stronger and deadlier than before. Cyber warfare crippled Dominion defenses, their communications scrambled, their targeting systems compromised. Their superior technology had become a liability. Fear crept into the Dominion's ranks. Zelvoran warriors, bred for war, had never known an enemy that refused to break. Every species before them had accepted their fate. But humans treated war like an evolving puzzle, one they were solving faster than the Dominion could react. A Zelvoran officer demanded answers. "Why do you fight when you've already lost?" A captured resistance fighter grinned. "Because we learn." The officer scoffed. "Learn what?" The human leaned forward. "That losing is just part of winning." The first sign that the tide had turned was the disappearance of an entire Dominion fleet. No distress signals, no wreckage, just gone. Then, Dominion warships began failing mid-battle, their systems overridden by human code. What had once been their greatest advantage was now a weakness, exploited with ruthless precision. Humanity was no longer fighting to survive. They were hunting. The shattered remnants of their fleets had been reforged, strengthened with salvaged Dominion technology. What the enemy saw as destruction, humanity had seen as opportunity. They had studied every engagement, every loss, every misstep, and they had learned. When the first counterattack came, the Dominion was unprepared. A heavily fortified supply world, once deep in Dominion space, fell in a single night. Human forces struck with a ferocity and coordination that should have been impossible. The Dominion had assumed their enemies were scattered, broken. Instead, they had rebuilt in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Panic spread through the Dominion ranks. They had seen rebellion before, but this was something else. Humans weren't just fighting back, they were evolving in real time, adapting to every strategy, every countermeasure. And worse, they weren't fighting to reclaim lost ground. They were pushing forward. Varkarth watched in disbelief as reports flooded in, entire Dominion fleets routed, strategic command centers erased in coordinated strikes. This wasn't desperation. It was a calculated war of attrition, and for the first time in Dominion history, they were the ones being outmaneuvered. A human transmission played across every Dominion channel, a voice cold and unwavering. "You thought we were finished. You thought wrong." The Dominion's last fleets formed a desperate defense around their core worlds, but it was already over. Humanity had taken everything the Dominion threw at them, adapted, and turned it against them. The once invincible war machine was crumbling. The final assault came not as a single overwhelming strike but as a relentless series of precise, devastating attacks. Dominion supply lines collapsed. Their communications shattered. Planets fell without a fight as their defenders, exhausted and terrified, surrendered at the mere sight of human forces. The Dominion had never known fear. Now, it consumed them. Varkarth, once certain of humanity's destruction, now stood in the ruins of his own empire. His advisors whispered of retreat, of negotiation, of anything to stop the onslaught. But there was no mercy coming. Humans had learned too well. They knew that leaving an enemy wounded only gave them time to recover. The last Dominion stronghold fell in hours. Varkarth, once a conqueror of worlds, knelt before his captors. A human general stared down at him, unimpressed. "You thought we'd break. You thought we'd surrender." Varkarth, defeated, whispered the only question that mattered. "How?" The general smiled, cold and certain. Because defeat was never the end. It was just another step forward.